Hello, we are Teresa and Martin from the Czech Republic. We are parents. We have two little children. Jonas is 2 and Eliška is 5. And we would like to talk in this video about the advanced course, Raising Our Children, Raising Ourselves by Naomi Aldort. Naomi, can you briefly introduce yourself?
Well, how brave. I'm the author of Raising Our Children, Raising Ourselves, and I teach parents all over the world. People call me like this in Skype from all over the world every day. I talk to parents and help them. People come over here for family intensive. And until COVID, I also traveled and did these workshops all over the world, as well as was in people's homes if they wanted to hire me personally, or did private sessions in person, as well as on Zoom, Skype, or whatever people have, or even phone. So that's the work I do. I've raised 3 children who are successful, able, and happy grown-ups, not without their own struggles and issues, normal human beings, ordinary human beings, and capable and communicative and self-expressive and able to resolve issues when they have them. One of them is married. One of them is divorced with a daughter who is 6 years old. And one of them, the youngest, is single. He's a cellist in the Boston Symphony. One is a pianist composer, and one is a builder, carpenter, working, building homes. And he's the married one. And I raised them without schooling, including the music education, science, whatever they did, without going to school. And then they went to universities and were excellent students and carved their own lives and relationships. That's I think, all about me that people want to know. We'll get to more.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. We know that your book, Raising Our Children, Raising Ourselves, is very popular. So we are curious, why did you decide to create this advanced course?
Well, I created the basic course first and have done mostly that. And then people who have done the basic course and read the book and applied things and already think this way, because some people came to the advanced course without anything previously with me, but were seeking in that line of direction of respecting children, not shaping them, but actually nurturing them to be who they are. And so it was simply requested of me. And the first request for it actually came in Czech Republic. So because they did the basic course there, and I was asked to, for those people and for others who came from other countries too, to do the advanced course. And I've done it a couple of times there. And this particular recording is from the last one that I've done, which was in Prague. The other 2 were in different locations too. I don't remember which ones were the basics and which one was advanced. So I did it in response to need. And I could say that my whole work is in a response to need. Originally, before even my book was written, I was asked, why did you start counseling parents and giving advice at the time by phone? Because it's been 30 years. And I didn't plan it. I wrote an article. It was published internationally in Mothering magazine about why not to praise. And people started calling me and asking questions. And I would spend time with them on the phone, answer their questions. And then I followed their lead. Then one of them said to me, Naomi, I'm talking to you an hour a week. Start charging me. This woman from New York or New Jersey was saying to me. So that's my whole work is simply a response to a need rather than planning anything. I am originally a piano teacher and a voice teacher. I'm a musician, a classical musician, and I was teaching piano for many years. And one of my students one day, the teacher said that the girl is getting more therapy than from her 7 years long therapy with a therapist, and asked me to give a session to the whole family. And I did, just a couple of sessions. I said, let's try a few. I'm not a therapist, but I'm willing to see what I can do. Is the cat disturbing?
We hear it, but it's okay.
It's authentic.
It's authentic.
It's there.
Yeah.
So
as well.
I was trying to lock him in the other room, and I can get up and lock him there, or I can just every now and then, like now, caress him. He wants some attention. He can even be introduced.
Yeah.
Cool. You want to say hello?
Oh,
there's
a big cat. Hello.
He's very affectionate and
likes
attention all the time. Especially my husband passed away. He just wants me all the time.
Oh.
Affection. Anyway, so that's why I created the advanced course, just like everything else, in response to what people needed.
Okay. What do you think are the most important topics covered in the advanced course?
Let me say first that I can't remember everything that was brought up. It's been 5 years since this particular recording of this particular course. There were people from all over, all the way from Sweden and England and Czech Republic and Germany and Switzerland and possibly Spain. And I was planning it by subjects, but also mostly by what parents needed. So even the course itself is answering parents' questions. So people who want to buy this particular product, what I promise is that your questions are in there, because parents, we had 3 whole days and parents asked every question that can come up. So yeah, each child is unique, but the usual issues that parents come up with and the problems that children bring up are generally of the same kind. So anything from sibling rivalry to bedtime to relatives intervening in how we're doing, attachment parenting, everything. But the context is more useful to understand in advance. What I have given in this workshop is tools to not do the old-fashioned way where the parent is a boss that tells children what to do, bossing them around and designing them and shaping them to be who they want them to be. So you're not the boss, because the moment you're the boss, there is struggle. Because human beings don't like bosses. Human beings are born who they are. They're not different than you and I. We're all people who don't like to be told what to do. And that's as it's designed, and that's the best for us, to not be told what to do as children, especially when we assign ourselves a job and have an actual boss and have to follow instructions. That's fine. Then we know to do it because we don't have an emotional stress about not being able to actualize our being. A child unfolds as a being, as who I am. And that's the worst time to start telling them who to be, what to do. So in the old paradigm, parents shape their children and tell them what to do and how to behave. And the result is struggle, because the child is a human being. No, I want to be me. I'm learning who I am. They spend their childhood learning who they are. In fact, we never stop that job. We're still learning who we are, right? But as we become mature, we know it's not all about us, and there's, things to take into account and fit in a given society. But for a child, life is about who am I? They don't say it in words for themselves, but that's what it's about. They're not even aware of you. You are just a part of them, a part of who is nurturing them, who is answering to their needs. So if you come and start to draw them away from themselves, don't do this, don't feel this, do this other thing, then they're absolutely disturbed and stressed and develop anxieties and emotional issues and are unable to be the best that they can be because they're taught to, instead of being rooted in themselves, they become insecure and they're learning, oh, I have to sense what other people want of me and be that. And that's when you get the adult who is walking into any situation insecure, like, okay, will I say the right thing? Will I, what do they want of me? How do I impress them? Rather than how do I be myself, and whoever likes me, and whoever doesn't. I don't need the whole world to like me, and they don't, and they never will. And it's all right to be yourself. And the fitting in is something that becomes authentic. I want to fit in this situation because I want to do this job or to study this profession. So my kid who became a classical musician in the Boston Symphony, he learned from a young age that in the area of music, he didn't have that kind of freedom that he had at home to do whatever he wants, that there were some very strict rules of how you play in a quartet, how you play in an orchestra, how you sit in a lesson, and how you listen to a teacher and respond to instructions. He had no problem doing that because he had no stress about it, right? So there was the world of relationship, which almost must be free. And there is then the world of having to fit in specific circumstances that I choose freely, that he chose to be in those circumstances. And when you choose to be in that ballet class or sport or whatever, as you grow older, you learn, when I play baseball, there is a coach and I have to follow instructions and there are rules. So because a lot of people become worried, if you teach this total respect and freedom, how will they ever learn to follow instructions? It's the opposite. Because they are free, they don't have an emotional knee-jerk reaction to being told what to do. So you don't boss them as a parent. Parent-child is a basic relationship. Parent and child are equal human beings. One is less able to take care of themselves, and the other is the nurturer. And I always say it's like nurturing a flower. You don't tell the flower when to bloom, when to get the leaves out, or what color to be, or what to look like, or which kind of flower to be. We happen to know with flowers what we're planting, but when it comes to children, we get pregnant and we have no idea. And we have no idea while they grow up. It's a constant riddle unfolding. And I want to tell the parents whose children are still young, you're going to be stunned by what they tell you, no matter how great you are. They grow up and then they tell you what you did as a parent and what you didn't see about them. And you go like, oh no, really? That's what you felt? That's who you are? I didn't see that. And our job is to try to see that and to remove ourselves out of the way. So the course is about how to be completely aware, connected, and present with who the child is and remove our ego, our plan. We're not gods. We don't make people. They're already made, just like the flower, only more complex. They're already who they are. So the course is about how to respond to who they are rather than manipulate who they should be, so that the child can feel who I am is honored and I'm free to be myself. And at the same time, we live together and grow together and develop relationship in respect. The more I respect the child, the more they'll respect me, the more they'll respect others because they're content. They know how I feel inside is right. And so that's the context. And then the subjects, I can give you a list of some of the subjects, but like children have anxiety. We dealt in the course with what to do with specific issues, anxiety, emotional, tantrum, how to not be a perfect parent and not to have a child always be happy, and why whatever the child is going through is grist for the mill of their own growth, and how to facilitate that rather than obstruct it. So not even obstructing crying. We addressed everything in the context of what we call, in America anyway, attachment parenting. So in terms of the context, parents who come to this workshop generally carry their babies on them, breastfeed, sleep with them. Many of them do home birth, or at least do their best to do natural birth. So that's some of the principles that allow the child and the baby from the beginning to let us know what they need. And they need to be on us all the time, just like my cat. So it's about not manipulating and not being God. It's like we're not the ones creating this person. That's the biggest mistake that people try to change. Why they come to a course like this is they want to find how to not be the boss, how to not be God who assumes and decides what the child should learn, what they should do, who they should become. We dealt a lot in this workshop on how to deal with relatives, because one of the biggest problems that parents tell me that they deal with is society doesn't support this. So when you try not to do what was done to you, then grandmother is tearing her hair out. It's like, why are you sleeping with your child? Why is he not going to school if they do homeschooling? Not all the parents are doing homeschooling. I don't want anybody to feel that you have to homeschool to do this parenting. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily. Some go to regular schools, some to Montessori, to the democratic schools where they vote and decide everything. So it's very, very close to the same thing. And some homeschool and some unschool. So all of that creates problems with the relatives. And we actually, in this workshop, you will see some very enlightening mocks where I ask the participant who said, my mother-in-law criticized what we're doing, this XYZ. And I say, come here on stage, you be mother-in-law, and you give me hard time and I'll be you, a peaceful you. And we did a demonstration of how you don't have to fight with your mother-in-law or mother or father or any relative or friend. You can actually make them feel good and be even more connected with them and their concerns without doing anything they say. And sometimes learn something from them. I'm not saying you never learn anything. So the attitude should, I teach in that workshop, in that course, you learn how to not be defensive. And as a result, to create connections. And the final result of it is those relatives start leaving you alone because they're being heard, they're being appreciated, there's connection. And at the same time, they don't see you falling for it. You're doing your thing. So you are assertive, but kind and connected. So they start being interested, or at least non-invasive to some degree or another. And some of them just keep doing what they're doing, and you have to keep having those kind of conversations with them. And that's fine too, because those conversations are loving, are connected, are not putting anybody down, because the illusion is you think that if they keep telling you and criticizing you, it means you have to do what they say. And that's not true. And that's one of the techniques that you will find in these recordings of the course is we do the work, like the work of Byron Katie, very similar, applied to parenting and to even your own relationship to your parents and the pain and trauma you bring from your childhood. There was a couple of people, if I remember right, who did quite a thorough work on their own sense that they were not loved or mistreated, and to really be able to forgive, not necessarily, change anything in your relationship with them, or sometimes, yes, a lot of people as a result of it do, but to really come to a place of peace with how it was so that you can be now at peace, not be not react to your child with your issues from your childhood, but react to your child from them, from seeing them. So we covered health issues, even food, emotional issues, child being defiant, oppositional. There's no such thing. If they're oppositional, it means you're oppositional. And we looked at how that is created. The child is being assertive. That's a good thing. We want them to be assertive. And yet in the mainstream, we spend all their childhood forbidding them of being assertive. And then we are surprised that they're molested or not assertive. So what you learn in this course is how to cherish your child's assertiveness and how to create a household that is peaceful, cooperative, not because someone feels oppressed, but because you're not the boss, you're a leader. And a leader creates the context and the setup that makes things work. So a simple example that everybody does already, so it would be easy to understand, is we don't get mad at a 1-year-old because they grab all the books out of the shelf. We know we have to baby-proof the house. That's what I mean by the context, the setting. We know the baby doesn't know not to tear the book and pull the papers out of it. So we put the books tight, or we put magazines that he can't tear in the bottom shelves that he can reach, he or she. So we change the setup to allow this new amazing miracle being to do their own exploration. And yes, sometimes we have to not let them do something. And that's fine. But we learn to do it with love and kindness, not with anger, not with our own, being annoyed. So many parents tell me I'm annoyed that my child does this and that. But that's not about the child. That's your stuff. Mm-hmm. Being annoyed that the child is telling the truth, or that they need to make a mess, or just spreading their food all over the place or whatever. How do we respond to the floods in the bathroom and the food and the not going to sleep? We dealt with all these things such that the result is the child is more cooperative because they want to, of their own free will, not because they feel oppressed by a boss. And the whole family benefits. You benefit, of course, because you deal with your own. That's why it's raising our children, raising ourselves. So what else? Defensive communication, how not to have power over your child, but also not to have the child have power over you. We dealt with how to heal past pain. So let's say you're not perfect. And I don't want parents to be perfect. Nobody can grow well with perfect parents because they'll try to be that. They'll be the most anxious person on earth. So that's not what we want. And so we deal with, okay, so the child did have pain, did have trauma, did have disappointment. A friend stopped playing with them. Somebody hurt them. Somebody broke their thing. How to be with the child in a way that empowers them, that they complete, that they express their feelings, that heal the trauma, and that everybody benefits. How to raise resilient children, not children who constantly need to feel fantastic. It's like raising a resilient person is not somebody who's happy all the time, is not somebody that nothing ever happens that's bad, that they never fall or never have friends don't like them anymore. No. It's how to deal with the fall, how to dance with the rain, how to get wet rather than run away from wetness, how to deal with the wound rather than run away from all wounds and then have an anxiety-driven life of avoiding all discomfort. So, and the other big subject in the workshop is communication skills, how to be non-defensive. So, marriage, relationship was handled too. Like, what do we do automatically usually as a couple and with our children? And they learn from us. We say no. Mm-hmm. Oh, you left the dinner, you broke the dish, or why didn't you finish this? No, I didn't. No, that's not what happened. Automatic. automatic defense. That's the beginning of war. That's the beginning of struggle. So people say, well, then what do we do? The workshop will tell you how to be with that, how to respond in a way that connects and understand the other person and focus on empathy and on compassion rather than on me and my defense, and they should know that this is not what happened and I'm right and they're wrong. It's about, let me understand what their reality is. How do I understand them? And then they can understand me, not because I give a lecture about all the reasons I did what I did or I didn't do what I didn't do. And remember, a lot in each subject that I cover, I did some exercises. There are mental exercises that you will do with it, or you'll stop the video and do the exercise. And then people share what they got out of it. And then parents ask questions. So in every subject and in every exercise we did, then there was all the questions. So mostly all the questions that anybody can come up with can be there. And I was teaching to do the self-inquiry in order to bring yourself to be peaceful. Because the other thing is, how do I do it? I'm burning inside with what happened to me as a child. I didn't get all that kind of love. I couldn't do that. I wasn't allowed to tantrum and scream until, and be listened to. So how do I respond to my child when I'm burning inside? So we do specific formula and help you to do exactly that. And with time, as you do it more and more, it stops arising, or it arises less and less and less. So you move from reaction, which is about you reacting from your pain, to responding to whatever is right now. And that's the part that in the original course, we didn't go that deep. That's the deeper part of learning that whatever is happening, our job isn't to go back to the history and do a courthouse to decide who is right and who is wrong and who is a bad child and who is a good child. Our job is to respond to the last step of what happened. The last step is not who pushed you that you have a booby on your knee. The last step is you have a booby on your knee, let's put a Band-Aid and give you a kiss and help you get, and clean the wound up. It's not about an investigation and a witch hunt, because we're teaching children all this investigation. And one of the things I always say is we don't want a courthouse. We want a love house. And then we worked on social skills, how to be, why groups don't work for young children, and what to do instead to get children to play with other children or with adults, and how they learn social skills. The importance of play and what kind of play, not programmed by adults with rules that are enforced by adults. Healing games. So we had a whole section on therapy games that we do with the children, with dolls or with ourselves or with a ball, so that they help the whole family, which is very, very powerful. I mean, that by itself is worth the whole course, if you ask me. Just learning to do, because you can invent them. When parents call me on Zoom and tell me a situation, I often invent games on the spot, and then I share them in the course, or people ask questions in the course and I invent a game on the spot that addresses the thing. We also did some theater around, people came on stage or in the front to act the situations in their home. And we broke down and analyzed how the situations are everybody playing a role and how to break those roles. So in most families, there is somebody playing the victim. There is somebody playing the blamer. There is somebody playing the king and the queen, the boss, the justice department, the courthouse, etc. So we had people like tell what's going on in their family, and then we would have people that are not their family volunteer to go on stage and stage that scene. And then we would freeze it in a certain point and show, the different roles people are playing and why those roles are creating the struggle and how to get out of these roles and how to free oneself out of those roles by realizing, by noticing it. So I can go on and on and on. I would say there is no subject that wasn't addressed, from bedtime to food, to siblings, to jealousy, to anxieties, depression, relatives, all of it, whatever I'm forgetting to say. You know your issues, and you'll find the answers and a way to handle them.
So it's already a long advanced course, as you mentioned. It's process recording from 3-day workshop. So we divided it in 25 thematic videos, and the total length is about more than 12 hours of the videos which are in this course.
So it's a lot of information, lots of techniques, and I've seen it's great.
Tell a little about yourself, your names, and what you do, your children age, and how you got to do that, so that people have a little inspiration for somebody who's already followed this course.
Mm-hmm. So I mentioned at the beginning that we have 2 children. She's almost 2.5. Eliška is 5. And I've seen the course, and like for me there were so many wow moments, like the mock games you mentioned, the demonstrations. Like I could imagine a situation in our family, what's going on, and then see it and see ways how to solve it or how to do it different way. And that was really great for me to see this.
It's a lot of inspiration for us, because we want to raise our children in different way as we were raised. So that's the most important, that many topics you mentioned, remember our rising and how our parents raised us. So as you mentioned, it's quite a lot of work on our way of living and what to share with the kids and how to deal with our things.
Yes. So Martin and Teresa created the course as you have, that you can buy now online, from the 3 days condensed, took the lunch out. And the parts where people were working in groups and doing all the exercises on their own, etc., and create a beautiful product for you, so that everybody all around the world can benefit from it, and not just those who were attending the actual workshop. So you can get as much benefit as if you were there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had last question, but I think you already mentioned it, that it's the question is if the advanced course is the same as the book, but
no, it is not.
Advanced course, it's
useful to read the book first, but it's not mandatory. It goes way further and much deeper. It's like the book tells you all these wonderful things with examples and stories of kids and parents and behaviors and things that improve and what to do. So it's very, very useful. But if you want to go deep, the advanced course is exactly about actually becoming the parent who is able to do that, because you can read a book and say, wow, this is beautiful, but I have too many emotional issues myself. So I'm failing. I find myself in a reaction mode too often, and I can't quite do it. And the book does give a formula of how to do it by yourself, but honestly, it's hard to do it by yourself. So when you go through this course, you will actually gain that skill and be so much more capable to catch yourself and actually be able to be the parent that you want to be and that your child deserves to have.
Yeah. I think it's quite unique that this course is based on the live or on the recording of real people, real presentation. That it's not just like you mentioned, book or one teacher who's saying something, but you have the interaction with the participants of the course. So that was the thing which was really interesting and important for us. And yeah, it's because of this reason, it's quite different than the traditional online courses.
Yes, and we covered a lot more subjects. There are subjects in the course that are not even mentioned in the book.
Yeah.
So much you can do in 280 pages or whatever it is. There's a limit.
Okay. Thank you a lot for introducing this course. Yes.
And I really recommend it to everybody because I would love, I'm 72 years old. I think traveling and giving this course to everybody in person in the different countries is not anymore a likely possibility, even without COVID. It's not something I'm eager to do. I'd rather stay at home at this point. So there is Zoom available, of course, for adjusting personal things. But I think the best way to get the most out of what I have to teach is this course, and the shorter one as well. But this one is the most thorough one. So you can get both, or you can get this one. And then if you still have some questions or need adjustments, then you do a session with me, and then you're already years ahead, so that we go right away. I don't have to teach you and build your skill because you're already there and just need a few adjustments. And a lot of people don't need any adjustments after this course. It really gives you everything you need to flow with parenting, and to understand that you don't need to be perfect, that everything is greased for the meal. Your womb created your imperfect child, miraculous child, but with their own imperfections, with your own genes, and you didn't protest that it's your genes, your eye color, your hair, your whatever it is, physical and mental. And then they spent 18 years or 20 years in your home womb, right? And who you are is impacting them, just like the DNA and the cells impacting their physiology and genetics. So do you impact them everything all the time? And it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it's better that it isn't, because perfection is impossible to live up to and very destructive for life. So learn the skill of being with imperfect humans and allowing them to be themselves and flourish as who they are, and relieve yourself from the job of shaping them and making them be.
That's very relieving. Yeah, we don't have to be perfect, and our child. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Maybe I get one question. If you want to mention that instead of this advanced course, you have also another shorter online courses, or available?
There is the one that was recorded in Bratislava. I actually don't remember the title of it, but it's 4 hours long. It was a full day, so also someone created. Did you create that? No, that was someone else who did the. Yeah,
it's Petra probably.
Yeah. Who created the cut it down into 4 hours of just the actual juice. And that covers a lot as well. In fact, some of the same subjects, but because it's different people, there were like 200 people there. Each course allows for different subjects because different people show up. So ideally, you should get both of them, and then you're set for life, basically, I would say. Because these two, there is another one that we haven't summarized yet that could be helpful that talks about the concept that I teach of leadership, not being a boss, but being a leader. And a leader is not a controller. But this is also in both of these courses, I address this issue. So I think getting both courses would be really fantastic for people. You don't have to travel, you don't have to take hotel and go to a workshop for 3 days and bring babysitters and so much easier that you can just have it at home as if you were there, short of asking your personal question, except no, because if you still have a personal question left, which most people don't because it covers so much, you can always set up a single session with me and just get your questions answered.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
To purchase the full advanced workshop, answering all your parenting questions, go here, NaomiAldort.com.